Welcome to Self Love Sermon. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello, dear ones. It's Tuesday night, and here we are, another self love sermon. I'm feeling weird tonight. I just saved a child who was in the middle of the street. So that's not something you see every day. Just like an unattended toddler in the middle of the street, headed for the highway, no adult to be seen. That was pretty disturbing. Luckily, I caught up to him. His mother caught up to him. All is well, but just to say, it's been kind of a weird day. I feel like a little out of body right now. It was very anxiety inducing. Um, so I'm like, this literally just happened. So I'm just gonna be with my experience of that. And this is something you can do anytime something uncomfortable or challenging happens. It's just befriend your own experience. Maybe putting a hand on the heart or closing the eyes and just acknowledging, like, this is hard. This is hard. I don't want to suffer. You know, little bit befriending and attending can go a long way. I call it keeping a finger on the pulse of our experience, letting yourself know, like, I will always be here. Always. I might forget, but I will intend to remember. So, working with that. Hi Danielle, welcome. Who else is with me? Welcome to Self Love Sermons. We're here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, or almost every Tuesday. And you can, of course, sign up for updates and everything you need to know. On my website at Luminous Leanings, which will soon be ellengilbert.com, getting closer every day to the transition. This tonight might be shorter because, like I said, I'm feeling kind of weird. But we are talking about something so important to me, and you've probably, if you know my work, you've been around the Luminous Leanings world, the self-love sermon world for a while, you know I talk a lot about law of attraction and divine feminine self-love. And I'm giving you a sneak peek tonight into Womanifest, which is my signature group program. Doors are open now, and I will go ahead and pop the link in the chat. If you wish to sign up or learn more, you can always DM me if you have questions or book an exploratory call. Let's chat about it, because Womanifest is awesome, and it's a 4-week group journey that we take together. There will never be more than 10 people at once in Womanifest, so you can bet that it's going to be very intimate, very sweet. All are welcome. You do not have to identify as a woman. In fact, one of my first participants identifies as a man, and he said he was there to tap into his inner femininity, his feminine side, and attract from second sacral chakra, and lean into the energetic womb space within all of us to attract whatever it is we desire, whatever it is we want to feel, and connect with that, not from a capitalist perspective of my achievements are proof of my worthiness, but rather the inverse. My pure, beautiful intentions are going to have a ripple effect in the world that is positive, that is good. And my pure, worthy intentions are proof of my own worthiness. So that's the energy we're working with tonight. Hi, Claire Bear. Welcome. Glad to see you here. Talking about Womanifestation tonight. I'm going to lay out the 7 practices. So you might want to grab a notebook, a journal, anyone who is with us or watching the replay, because there's a lot of good stuff in here. I originally wasn't going to reveal all of the practices unless you took the group program. But I was like, this is some good stuff. This is for everyone. So I am letting it all out tonight, the 7 practices of Womanifestation. And maybe we can spend some time reflecting on our relationship to each of these practices. I'll give some ideas for how it could look for you, but just like everything else, you got to make it your own and do what feels best. And if nothing I say resonates, that's okay too. Then it just might not be your framework. But let's stay open because you never know. But I'm so glad you're here with us. And in case you don't know me, I am Ellen Gilbert. I'm a defined feminine guide and self love coach. And I love all things law of attraction. I define divine feminine as the shameless claiming of our rest, pleasure, and community. In fact, we just completed a month-long challenge called January of Pleasure. You can still find the details on my website, luminousleanings.com. But I am going to be running this again. I decided in 2022. I think it's worth running every year, honestly. Pleasure is something that takes a lot of practice, a lot of encountering, a lot of challenging and investigating. So it's something we could easily focus on 1 month a year for the rest of our lives. And it was such a sweet community of people practicing pleasure together and sharing the shadow side of pleasure, like what it brought up. And if you're curious about that, um, I did 3 sermons in January on pleasure. So you can go back and watch those replays. And of course, sign up for my newsletter and maybe join us next year for those great practices. And tonight, we're also going to, pleasure is integrated in a really big way into Womanifestation work. So get excited. If you would like to make an energetic exchange for my work, you may do so. I would welcome it. And this is like the Buddhist practice of dana. I give my time, my teaching, my meditation guidance, my coaching for free here every Tuesday night. So if something really resonates with you, I would encourage you to kind of make that ecosystem exchange with me and support my work. My work doesn't exist in a vacuum. I'm a human. I have needs, I have expenses, and I am working on growing this movement and amplifying my message so that I can reach more people with the beautiful blessings of divine feminine self-love. And it's not easy to practice these things. Rest, pleasure, community in a overculture of capitalism and patriarchy and white supremacy that, quite frankly, we have so internalized and so identified with that a lot of the time we can't even see the ways that it's impacting our relationship to ourselves. Self? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, but it's a great pleasure of my life, and I love it so much, and I love being here with you each week. If you have any questions, you can type them in the chat. And let's see. You could go ahead and share this video if you'd like more people to join in watching with you live right now, or share the replay. I would greatly appreciate it. And yeah, let's begin with lighting the candle. So if you have a candle or some incense or something lovely, go ahead and join me. It's nice to cast a circle, hold an energetic boundary for our time together tonight, the time you're setting aside to get curious about self-love. That's what it's all about, y'all. As I light the candle, we are united, past, present, future, calling ourselves back to this moment. Intending to inhabit our own experience, inhabit the entirety of this present moment. warts and all, to challenge ourselves, to open our minds, open our hearts just a little bit more. Can we take in one more teaspoon of self-love tonight? And remember what we've forgotten and forgive what we've forgotten. This is my intention. What is yours? That's all it takes so often, isn't it, dear ones? Just a naming of the intention to guide us home to what matters most to us, what we value, so we can see the goodness in that intention and be linked back to our own goodness. Because that's what we forget. Beyond everything else, we are forgetting our own goodness. And that is really painful, because all we really want is to belong. So let's start with cultivating self-belonging. And let's keep remembering, keep intending to remember, you are so worthy. And I know it's possible for everyone because it was possible for me. All right, beautiful ones. Well, if you would like to share in the chat, if you're here, what are you drawing towards yourself tonight? Could be your intention, how you want to feel during self-love sermon. It could be something really big, like a big achievement or external goal that you've been working on, drawing towards, or something really small, like that next little pleasure practice that you're starting to dream into being tonight. What are you drawing towards yourself? Let's honor and celebrate these things and remember their own goodness. And if you don't share it in the chat, that's okay. I would encourage you to look at this thing that you're drawing towards yourself and connect to the feelings that you're imagining it will bring to you. The feelings in your body. How will you feel when this intention, this dream is fulfilled? How do you think you will feel, or how do you hope you will feel? Connecting to feelings is so important because we like to give away our power and let other people define success for us. Even in the setting of goals and the planning and the hoping and the manifesting, we like to say, okay, it's going to be when I get that corner office, to use a cliche. It's when I get that external thing. And then we actually get it and it feels empty. So let's connect to the feelings always. Like the feelings are what you're really after. And connecting to feelings is a huge part of law of attraction work. And we talk about this all the time. I know I'm beating a dead horse. But whatever it is you're longing to feel, you are capable of feeling right now. And what a beautiful act of self-love, self-care, and nourishment to go ahead and cultivate that feeling right here, right now, and look at what resistance pops up. Because that's evidence that you might be in a trance of unworthiness. You might be resisting the very feeling that you desire because you don't believe you deserve it. And we all have this, many, many, many layers of conditioning, of socializing, of brainwashing that we then become the overseers of. That's where the systems get internalized. Don't judge yourself for it. This is the air we are all breathing. You are not alone in this. is something we all do. It's not about you, it's the human condition. So, what more of an opportunity to practice compassion? Don't get identified. You are not special in this. This is a shared experience. The ego will have you believe you're special, you're separate, you don't belong. Nothing could be further from the truth. All right, so what the hell is Womanifestation? Well, obviously, I took the word manifestation, which is the drawing towards yourself of what you are longing for, the dreaming and visioning and all that. And I made it into, instead of manifesting, womanifesting. Because women, especially, have been systematically cut off from their power to create and to claim desires and to claim goodness and blessings. So that's why I did that. Of course, this is applies to everyone, but it's nice to use language to take back some of these things from time to time. And I, of course, acknowledge that non binary people and like trans men are also systematically in a patriarchy, cut off from their power to feel pleasure, to claim blessings and abundance. And of course, people who identify as men are as well. But I'm using this playful language of womanifest to put women at the center. So don't even come at me for using that because it's really powerful. You know, women have been systematically cut off from our womb energy, our second chakra, sacral activation to create whatever we want. But the door is open. Are you going to walk through it with me? It can be scary to actually say to yourself, anything is possible. I create worlds in my mind. I create universal realities with my mind. My thoughts are that powerful. My intentions are that powerful, and I am that sovereign. And when I'm in alignment with my highest good, this stuff naturally flows to me because it's in the collective's best interest. I can trust what it is I desire because it's connected to the best interest of us all. What a different way of looking at manifesting and goal setting and dreaming and planning. To me, it's been very liberating. And so I want to share it with you tonight. Let's get into it. So there are 7 practices, and I'm just going to go through them one by one, share some ideas, and invite you to take notes and reflect, maybe in your journal, on how you can start to incorporate these into your own life. So the very first one is envision, or boldly envision. Like, what does a womanifester do? Someone who womanifests and attracts what it is that she wants. She is boldly envisioning. So when you maybe have practiced manifesting meditations and visualizations, maybe that's the only time you've ever kind of closed the door, sat or laid down and allowed your mind to daydream, to really go there in your mind to what it would look like, what it would sound like, what it would feel like to actually get whatever it is you're drawing towards yourself. Like, I used to not do this enough. And I remember vividly the first time I was like, okay, I'm going to practice manifesting. And I like laid down and like did the thing, maybe like 15-minute visualization. And it was so vivid and clear what was possible and what I was seeing that it kind of scared me. I was like, am I on the right track? Is this really, we can get so caught up in the how when we see what's possible. But I would encourage you with the envisioning piece to carve the time and just open your mind as much as possible. Imagine you are, if you lucid dream, maybe you're like, it's like a lucid dream. Like, pretend you have control. What would you do? What world would you create and envision? What post pandemic world would you imagine? Chances are it's really positive. You know, like there's probably more justice and equality, and maybe the village is returning as some of these old systems die away. What I have found in co dreaming in groups of people or sharing these visions for the future is that there is a collective theme emerges, and it's one of universal goodness. And so I call this the cycles of worthy intention and worthy self, because step 2 is she claims her worthiness. So step 1, boldly envision. Step 2, claim your worthiness. And these go together because sometimes we're so cut off from our worthiness. Like we maybe consciously or unconsciously, we don't allow ourselves to vision, to dream, to intend, to state aloud what it is we want because we believe that we're bad and undeserving. But as I said in the beginning, if we can access it through the intention, see the goodness in your intention, allow that to be your path home to your own goodness. Maybe sometimes that's your access point. Maybe other times the access point is I am worthy, so what I intend is worthy. It can go either way. Play with it, see what is working for you. You can typically access worthiness with one of these entry points, one of these doorways: worthy intention, worthy self, and they connect back. They help us remember what we've forgotten again, which is that we are worthy. Okay. So we're claiming our worthiness. There are many ways to claim our worthiness. I just lost my notes. Yeah. So if you're worthy, if you connect to that goodness, that some part of you cares about others, maybe that's your entry point. Maybe it's that some part of you cares about yourself. I always tell my clients, like, you invested in coaching, you clearly care about yourself at least this amount. What does that tell you? How does that feel? What is the evidence you're feeding that worthiness little baby inside you that really does need regular feeding? All of these things go and feed into it. All of the 7 practices help feed it. The more you feed the worthiness, the stronger your attraction power, the stronger your womanifestation power and potential. Because worthiness feeds our sovereignty. So not only are we worthy, which is deserving and good, but we are also sovereign in our own lives. So we get to act on our vision. We get to set boundaries. We get to claim our pleasure, rest, and community, claim our abundance, because we are actually sovereign in our own lives. I wonder for you, like, what is the feeling when you say to yourself, I am worthy? Maybe if you want to write that down or journal a bit, or for later, you can think about, how do you feel when you say out loud, I am worthy? And how do you feel when you say out loud, I am sovereign? Or I am sovereign in my own life? And what's the difference between the two? To me, worthiness is more passive, like I am deserving of the good things coming my way, and sovereign is very active. Like I get to wield this power in the way I see fit. Both are super powerful, both are true, and both are key to a manifestation. Yeah, which leads us to the next one, which is she owns her pleasure. So if you're sovereign in your own life, and if you're open to the fact that you are deserving of good things, pleasure, as we spent all last month talking about, is a great way to prove it. Prove it to yourself. Act on it. Design a little pleasure practice that feeds, again, that worthiness child, that inner worthiness child that needs regular feeding. You can design your pleasure practice as an experiment. Don't take it too seriously. As I was telling a client today, there's literally no test. No one actually gives a shit if you love yourself. Like, no one actually cares. No one's watching you to say, like, oh, she didn't do her pleasure practice this week. This is literally only for you. This is for your inner life to see and play with what impact it has. Yeah? Because your experience matters and is valid. It all comes back to that inner life. The point of all of this is to suffer less and just to feel good, to feel how you want to feel. So design a pleasure practice. Think of it as an experiment. Maybe you just get excited now going through your planner and every Friday night writing pleasure, pleasure, pleasure across the page and leaving it open-ended. Like, whatever the hell I feel like doing on Friday night, I'm carving out this amount of time and I'm going to do it. And then maybe on another piece of paper, you keep a pleasure bank. Like, I'm going to take a luxurious bath, or I'm going to cook this intensive meal, or I'm going to buy myself flowers, or I'm going to light a bunch of candles. And you can just start building up the practices. The more lists you make of ideas of things that could give you pleasure and make you feel good, the easier it will be eventually to actually follow through with that practice, to look forward to and get excited about that day of the week, whatever it is for you. And the more you'll start to see, like, I'm just happier. I'm just more positive. And clearly, deep down, something is shifting and in regards to my worthiness and my sovereignty and my relationship to myself. So there you have it. Also, the more we practice pleasure, the more we tell the universe, I'm grateful for my presence. I'm grateful for my body. I'm grateful for the resources I have at my disposal. Look at what I do with them. I buy myself beautiful things. I give myself luxurious experiences. That's our message of gratitude to the universe. I've talked about this a lot. What does the universe do in response? Like attracts like. We're saying send more here. Send more good things my way. The door is open. I am receiving. Yeah, it's such a great way to do it. And I love it because it's all good. When you have a pleasure practice, it's just all good. It's intrinsically fun. It feels good. And it has these benefits of attracting even more good things. Abundance, abundance, abundance. Stop trying to punish yourself or like find your loophole or like figure out the ways that it's not going to work. Because this is all about abundance. Okay. So that is pleasure. Okay. Also clearing our blocks. So if you're taking notes so far, it's envision, claim your worthiness, practice or own your pleasure. And now it's clearing the blocks. What do I mean by that? Well, like I said, everything is energy. So we're always sending out that energetic boomerang with our thoughts, which are so like underappreciated, the value of your thoughts, which lead to our intentions, our actions, our karma, our destiny. It leads to everything. if you're not aware already of your thoughts, or if you're kind of like, oh, I don't really think my thoughts are that negative, I would encourage you to start talking out loud to yourself when you're alone, if you don't already do this. And I read that like many more people are talking to themselves because of being isolated. I was already doing it, but I probably do it more now. It allows me to hear out loud what I am thinking to myself. And it really forces me to focus and hone in, like, so that there could be tens of dozens of hundreds of thoughts at once. When I speak them aloud, it's that one concentrated, energetic push. Okay, now I'm gonna do this, or like, this is the one thing that I'm gonna focus on. And when I speak it out loud, I have found that I'm much more able to steer the steering wheel back towards self love, my own worthiness, my own sovereignty. Because when you speak the inner critic's voice through your own, it's just laughable. It is that ridiculous. Because remember, the ego and the inner critic are one. And how do they operate? They tell us that we are special, um, we're separate, we're different, we're better than or worse than. Usually worse than at the end of the day. No one understands us. And yeah, that we'll never belong and we'll never be worthy. And it's just a load of bullshit. Like, sometimes we need to say it out loud to be like, oh, that's not true. But these are all blocks. These are all examples of the blocks we can clear. How can you clear some blocks in your life, or some energetic signals you might be sending out that are bringing back less than positive energy? And that doesn't mean we shy away from our shadows, but we want to work with them skillfully. We want to work with discomfort skillfully, not resisting or pushing away, but saying, okay, this is here. How do I want to go through this experience? Yeah, so that's a great way to clear some blocks. Open to whatever you think is the best way for you to clear your blocks, but becoming aware of the energy you're sending out and looking at self-sabotage is also really important. Because on this journey, even as you're starting to build your pleasure practice, your feelings of self-worth, you're catching the inner critic, you're catching the egoic thinking of being separate. Even as you go along with that, you're going to notice like that you are self-sabotaging. Maybe it's by thinking like, oh, this doesn't really work. Maybe it's that like skepticism that runs through everything, the doubt. But like, I can guarantee the best way to not will manifest whatever it is you're hoping to attract, however it is you want to feel, is to not even give yourself the opportunity. So again, it's an experiment. Self-sabotage also is a favorite weapon of the inner critic because it's protective when you get down to it. It's like, oh, too much goodness, too much power. I don't know how to wield it. What if I screw everything up and everyone gets mad at me and everyone leaves me? You know, I had a client today who was talking about her deepest fear is not being liked. And I think to her, it was like, that's ridiculous. There was like some added layer of judgment, like, why should I care about that? It's because we connect how people see us with our survival. We are pack animals. This is like no surprise from an evolutionary perspective that we would connect belonging to safety to life itself, connecting approval and approval, validation, compliments, and like peace, no rifts, no rocking the boat, with literal survival. We can make this equation so quickly. We don't even notice we're doing it. It's not silly. So when you can dismantle the self-sabotage, I think 9 times out of 10, it's I'm self-sabotaging because I don't really want to open myself up that much. I don't want to give people the opportunity to leave me and abandon me. I just said a lot. Yeah. So cutting the self sabotage, which is like attending and befriending the self sabotage, attending and befriending the inner critic, attending and befriending the ego, understanding it and saying thank you, but I'm good, like moving on. And this is all a process because we're carving new neural pathways. It's going to take time, it's going to take lots of practice. That's why they're called practices. Clearing blocks can also look like setting boundaries. And this comes back to sovereignty. When you are sovereign in your own life, you wield that power for good. You're going to start to love the sound of you saying no to shit that's not in alignment. I want you to start listening and noticing when I say no, oh, that feels good. When I say no, I'm reminded that I am sovereign. When I say no, I'm saying yes to my sacred, precious time. With a client yesterday, we were saying, like, every time you say no to something, you are saying yes to an infinite number of possibilities. When you say no, you're actually in your abundance because you're saying, more is on its way. There's more of that there's more where that came from. Maybe it's an opportunity and you're like, if I don't say yes to this could be the last one. I got to take it where I can get it. But if we say no, it's like, oh, there's more where that came from. These opportunities flow to me. Resources flow to me. The right people in my path flow to me at the exact right time. I want you to keep a journal of the synchronicities you start to notice as you begin these 7 practices. And soon, even the word synchronicity will feel like sacrilege to you because synchronicity doesn't begin to capture the full power of this abundance that you are tapping into. Like, it is clearly divine. It is clearly something greater than you, something greater than serendipity or chance or synchronicity. I want you to do that, dear ones. Let me know how it goes. That's a lot on clearing blocks. It's one of my favorites. When it comes to sovereignty, that's really what we're doing. We're clearing because we realize we are sovereign in our own lives. And all of that feeds into our ability to trust ourselves, which feeds into our ability to trust the universe. So the next principle is letting go, the next practice. Let go. Let go and let God. Let go and let Goddess. Let go and let universe. Like, maybe it's easier for you to trust a divine being than to trust yourself, or vice versa. Again, find your access point. It's all the same. You, God, universe, it's all the same. Find what entry point works for you. For many, like, super religious people that I know, I think it's easier for them to be like, okay, trusting God really does look like me letting go of the wheel because it's not about me. It's like that kind of humble non-attachment. Like, okay, well, it's not about me. So I have to let go to kind of prove my trust. And then if that entry point doesn't speak to you, trust yourself and let go. And start to track again, like an experiment, the times that you let go and things were good. The times that you let go and things worked out. The times that you let go and the world didn't spin off its axis and everyone you loved didn't die or leave you or abandon you. I mean, you wouldn't even be able to track all the times because it's every time and it's always and it's ongoing. And yet, what do? We clench, we tighten, we grab on like a siphon and we say, I have got to hold on to and control this situation or I'm gonna die. Again, survival. We're so worried about survival. What helps you feel safe? What helps you feel like it's okay to finally shut the laptop and not respond to that last boss from your email, or last email from your boss? What makes you feel like it's safe to not get the last word in an argument and say like, hey, I don't want to fight. Can we have some peace tonight? Where do you need to let go a little more in your life? Or when was the last time that you wish you had let go sooner? When we let go, we are again sending the universe and our psyche, again, same thing, a message of trust, which is really a message of receptivity, a message of openness, a message of yes. Yes. I don't have to control every little thing. I don't have to be so concerned with my step-by-step 10-point plan of getting from point A to point B because point B is on its way to me. That's trust. You can start so small. Maybe believing it's on its way to you is like way too tall of an order. Can you start by believing that maybe your work, your message, your mission, your calling isn't yours? Like it's something greater than you. And that means it's flowing through you. There's nothing you could do to hamper that message. And everything that's happening, even if it's the resistance right now that you're struggling with, like that is on your path for a reason too. That's trust. Everything you're experiencing is going to be another opportunity for learning, for wisdom, and maybe one day for sharing your story. So let go. I always quote Ajahn Chah here, who said, if you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will have complete peace. So that moves us into the next practice, which is practicing an abundance mindset. And we recently did a sermon on moving from scarcity to abundance. Adopting an abundance mindset. This is like the ultimate practice because we live in a scarcity culture. Everything we see is not enoughness. Every way that our brain can interpret information is from a perspective of survival, like a perspective of life or death. Bless our human nervous systems and brains. That's how we have evolved. So I've really, above anything else, I hope that you can see that this scarcity culture, this scarcity programming, this scarcity conditioning is not your fault. It doesn't mean you're bad or wrong or unworthy. It means your ancestors were scavengers who somehow made it to the top of the food chain through some complex evolution. And that included the evolution of our human societies that are so complicated and still hinge on scarcity models. And I talk a lot about the culture of shame, which I believe it is up to us to detox from in order to claim true sovereignty, true abundance, true worthiness. And really, that shame is a means of control because of scarcity, because there couldn't be enough goodness to go around, because survival is that hard. That's the message we're taking in like 24/7. So please, above everything, have so much compassion for yourself. My goodness. It is really hard to be human. It is really hard sometimes to be human. Sometimes I just say that to connect myself to that greater collective experience. And so when we do that sweet, nourishing work of like, this isn't my fault, this is my experience, we can tap into abundance and see it as not only like a balm for the wind ravaged soul that's been living in scarcity its whole existence, but abundance is actually the medicine and the solution to scarcity culture, to shame culture. And it starts with you. Stop waiting for it to be an abundant culture all of a sudden. We have to shift it one individual at a time, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, one thought at a time. And so, what do I mean by abundance? What do I mean by adopting an abundance mindset? We have to uproot scarcity in every corner of our lives. Whether it's that there's not enough time to do the things I want to do, there's not enough money to do the things I want to do. Maybe you wake up, you're already late for work, you feel like you didn't get enough sleep. Nothing is ever enough. Maybe you want to work with, as I am, cutting out distractions, time fillers in your life. Things like podcasts and the news and social media and Netflix. Maybe you want to set some firm, sovereign boundaries, again, in this, and see what your relationship to the silence becomes. The silence in the good stuff is in there, but we have to get past that wall of scarcity to sit in the abundance of it. This is like my favorite metaphor for scarcity and abundance because I experience this daily. I am someone that does not do well with silence. And I think that's why I got into meditation. Because it's like I cracked it open and all the good crap came out. Like the fruitful darkness, the fruitful silence. But at first, the silence can feel like death. So you're like, I have to sit here with my thoughts. I have to be here with my emotions. I have to be with the void, with the emptiness. We can feel this way in winter, the death season. We can feel this when we're menstruating. If you have a womb and you're menstruating, it's that void womb energy space of possibility, but also profound fear. That would be my suggestion, is to start carving out more silence, more stillness, more darkness, and see what naturally arises. And record it. Please record it in your journal. That is the best tool you have for tracking this journey. In the artist way, Julia Cameron calls it a journey of recovery. Like it's a Alcoholics Anonymous. It's like Scarcity Anonymous. Like we are recovering from scarcity culture. Track your progress. Okay. I don't know if I said aligned action. If I only went through 6 practices, I apologize. The 7th is to take aligned action. So, from all of this trust, we are letting go. That's proof of our trust in the universe, but we're also taking action. That's proof of our trust in ourselves. So it's not a gumball machine of I put the quarter of my intention in and out come all my dreams. It's not that easy. We do have to work. But it doesn't mean work in the way scarcity makes us think it means. It means work in that we have to put our money where our mouth is. Take the leap of faith. Can't you see how these are all just signs to the universe that we are going to trust? We're going to trust our worthiness. We're going to trust our sovereignty. We're going to trust the void, the silence, the stillness, the darkness. We're going to trust ourselves. We're going to trust our beautiful intention. We're going to trust the way we want to feel. And we're going to trust that universe, that higher power, that source. God is not like a person. God is a source. God is abundance. Yeah. Anything truly is possible, dear ones. And life is not a problem to be solved. You get to inhabit this entire journey. Doubt and all, fear, darkness, shadows, and all. You get to inhabit it if you are courageous, if you choose this path. And I hope you will, because it's a lot more fun than staying stuck in scarcity. It feels better, like it intrinsically feels better, and you love yourself more and you learn more about yourself along the way. And people pick up on it. People start taking notes when you talk. People start, asking you how you did it. And you realize it's not about you. It's an energy that you're tapping into, and you feel so blessed to be doing so. It becomes a life of worship. You're just in awe. Like 24 hours a day, you're in awe, utter awe of what is flowing through you, of how everything you dreamed was possible is possible, how you took the leap of faith and you found so much more beauty, so much more abundance than you could have imagined. I'm like not even making this up, y'all. This is my life. Like, this is what I experience. And it doesn't mean that times aren't hard or that I don't still slip into scarcity, because I definitely do on a daily basis. But I'm building a foundation of trust. With trust, anything is possible. Yes. Well, I'm going to end it there because I don't really know what else to say. I hope you will sign up for Womanifest. It is such a fun 4 weeks together beyond looking at law of attraction, which is really only like week one. When we look at these principles and we look at law of attraction, we look at the whole cyclical divine feminine way of being. So, looking at the seasons of nature, the seasons of the menstrual cycle, the seasons of our lives with the different archetypes of the maiden, the mother, wild woman, and the crone, the wise woman. We look at all of these pieces. Week 3 is looking at divine feminine as a whole. So I like to use the archetypes of Mama Earth, our muse, so the creative side, our muse, and then goddess archetypes as well we look at, which is so fun. There are these like virgin goddesses who aren't virgin in the way we go into what virgin means. They're virgin in that they are self sufficient, they are like sovereign, they don't need relationships, they're independent. And then there are goddesses that are relational. And we look at all of these goddesses and what medicine they have for our lives. We create altars to the goddesses. It's so much fun. And then week 4, we really take it deep into the body with the pleasure practices, with detoxifying from scarcity culture and shame culture, and with practicing radical self love, which is really radical self acceptance. It's saying, in all moments, I am worthy. In all moments, I am sovereign. And that trusting that means that there is no room for body shame in my life. There is no room for sexual shame. There is no room for distrusting my desires of any kind. Because now I am a womanifester. I have embodied radical self love. And it's a very humbling experience to work with the cycle in this way. We also work with the moon cycle. So, all of the practices I shared tonight, the practices of Womanifestation, can be mapped on to the 8 phases of the moon in ritual, in reflection. And we do this together as a community. It's really a sisterhood, a coven. It's a way to like dip your toe in the woo woo if you are curious, maybe a little scared, or you don't want to go it alone. Maybe you'd rather go it in a community. And that's what we're here for. So I really hope that you will join Womanifest. You can sign up for the waitlist at any time. We will always run it when we have 5 to 10 people signed up. I'll let you know when that is. And if you have any questions, again, please DM me. It is such a fun month that we spend together. Like, who doesn't need that? Who doesn't need more law of attraction, more cyclical living? Who doesn't need more goddess wisdom and medicine? Who doesn't need more sisterhood and community? You are worthy. And if you can't afford like my one-on-one programs, this is a great entry point to working with me and to gaining also that community piece. So please sign up for Womanifest or let me know if you have any questions. I'm sending you all so much love, and I'll talk to you next week. Have a great week. Uproot scarcity in every corner of your lives. You are worthy. You are sovereign. You are more than enough. You are overflowing. All right. Bye.